well this Sunday night. It's a school night, and yeah, it's a Sunday night school night here at the United Devil channel, and of course with me, JB. So look, guys, hope you're doing extremely well. Scott's already in the chat saying yes, JB. Yes, Scott. I hope you're doing extremely well this evening. Before we start, I will say this: look, get into this amazing community. This is a fantastic. I'm so fortunate to have you guys here. Because adjust this camera, it's bugging me. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have you guys here. It's an amazing community, so get involved. Respect, be respectful. Nikarutsu, legend. I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. Get into this community. Be respectful to the community. Be respectful to each other, to yourselves, to me. Otherwise, the banhammer comes out. We don't like doing it, but we absolutely will bring out the banhammer if we've got to. I'm slightly late this evening because basically trying to set up Elf on the Shelf. It's that time of the year where the old Elf on the Shelf comes out. So put my kids to bed and trying to sort all that Elf on the Shelf stuff out. So, I'm also not a dictator of this chat. Look, guys, this really is your show. That's why these shows take so long, because I genuinely read out all of your chats. I give you your opinion. We exchange opinions. We don't always agree, but look, it's always done in the best spirit. We don't mind banter here as well. So look, just get into it. So what I want to know tonight is I want to know your opinions on the performance today. I'll give you my opinions and we'll score the players. I'll give you my reaction to the match. I'll give you my reaction to where I think we are as well. And you get in your opinions. I want to know, is this a turnaround for the club? Is Amorim, do you want Amorim still out? Do you want Amorim in? What's the future? Because as it says, I don't know what we are. Simon says, good evening. Finally, after 5 years, we beat Palace 3 points earned, Simon. And again, look, I want to know about your opinions this evening. Look, I'm going to start off with this. 3 points is 3 points, right? We've got to celebrate a win. It was an excellent yet unexpected win. I've already convinced myself it would end in a draw. I convinced myself that it was a loss. Look, we will get into the game, but I do just want to say this. Look, despite what I said about these players, despite what I said about the manager, it's a win. It's a win for us fans, right? I think sometimes it doesn't matter about the players, because look, I've got my opinions on these players, and I will tell you about my opinions on these players as well. Look, a win is a win. We've got to go through the game, and then, as I say, we forget this game, and then it's on to the next game. The question really for me tonight is, where are we? But look, let's start off with a win. It's 3 points, right? With Aston Villa winning as well, we've got to play Villa soon. And Villa, I think it's something ridiculous. Like, Aston Villa haven't lost at home. I think they've lost 1 in 30-something games. I mean, it is ridiculous. Simon says, should that pen have been taken twice? So, Simon, look, the rules are the rules, right? Whether if it was us, right, and the rule was in place, we would have enough to say, right? So, look, those are the rules. As much as I disagree, look, it's like this, right? If you have a throw-in that's a foul, right, you don't get to take the throw-in again, right? You have to give the ball back to the other team. So that penalty, nobody put him off. It was his own fault. He kicked it against himself. So should that penalty been retaken? No. But those are the rules. So Nicky T, big up everyone. Big up Nicky T. I hope you're doing extremely well. So look, those are the rules. I just hope if it happens to us, I just hope that the same is applied to us. It baffles me. As I said before, when you've got a throw-in that's a foul, it goes to the other team. So I don't get it. Look, I don't get it. He scored, and we come out with a win. So what I wanted to prefix this with is that before we go into this tonight, let's enjoy the win, right? It's 3 points. It is absolutely 3 points. Nick says it was excellent, just unexpected. Amorim for me is still the manager, but we need some more talented players. I'm baffled by the penalty. I watched the Xerxes goal; it was well taken. No, it was. I think it's before we go into it, because I am going to go into it tonight. I'm going to give you my opinion on the performance as well. I want to know if you saw something in the team that means that you think that we're going to change. Nick says the rules need to be clearer around penalties, but he should never be allowed to retake unless the players encroach on the penalty box before it's kicked. I agree with you. I agree. An absolute bullet by Xerxes over our goal. I wonder if we see any more goals from him before Jan. And a nice little set piece from Bruno and Mount. And these are the things that we've got to celebrate. Look, to me today, I celebrated those goals as much as the next person, right? Because at the end of the day, for me, it's not necessarily so. This is where I'm at on it, right? It's not necessarily the players. It's not necessarily a Bruno that I see. It's not necessarily a Mason Mount that I see. It is a United player, and this is how I'm getting through right now with these players. It's not the individual character. It is a United player, and they've scored goals and United won. So that's what I take away from this. I'm not taking away that Bruno Fernandes had an amazing game. I don't think he did. Now, I'm not taking away that Xerxes scored this really, really good goal. He did score a great goal, but I'm distancing myself from his players, right? It's a United player that scored. These United players won today, so look, that should be celebrated, and we will get into it tonight, guys. I want your opinions. Nicarucci says Mount plays well, then goes off on the sick for so long. I see a pattern with this fella. We went 1-0 down though. I thought we were going to get roasted. So did I, to be fair. Look, let's just get into it. Let's just talk about it, because I think there could be some disagreement today on this. So Amorim before the game indicated, missed my comment, JB. I will go back. Nice little set piece from Bruno and Matt. Take the positive from the negative. First half is what I did. And look, Scott, one thing I'd always say about Scott is you're ever the optimist, which I like. You called the score today. I can't fault you for that. I don't know where you plucked that from. Based. The thing is, what I find difficult is when I think we're going to lose, we win. When I think we're going to win, we'll lose. And it's so difficult. It is so difficult to predict. And I think you can literally go anywhere with it. I like to think that I jinxed it today. Thinking that we'd lose, and we won. I don't blame anybody today from thinking that we'll lose, from thinking that we win, because I don't think this manager knows, these players know from minute to minute whether they're going to lose, draw, or win. I think that is where we are. Simon says now we should build on this for the West Ham game. And Simon, look, mate, we again, right, 100%. I agree with you so much, right? But the problem is we should have built on the Liverpool win, Sunderland win. We should have gone to Forest and won that. Tottenham, this is it, right? This is it. Is that unless we win the next one, the last one doesn't mean anything. If we're going to get into this habit, right? I'm just going to say this now. I am Amorim in. Whatever happens, I don't want him sacked, right? Because I am the manager in, right? If we get into this habit of winning 2 or 3, we draw 2 and lose 1. Look, I'm comfortable with that, right? I just want to see us play some good football. Look, if we get to the end of the season, we're still playing crap, we finish 6th, look, it's done and dusted, right? We get into a European competition, we invest, fine. I just want to get through the season. That is where I'm at now. I don't really see any patterns of play. I'll give you my opinion, straight away. Crystal Palace played in midweek. second half, it showed. It absolutely showed. And that's not taken away from United stepping it up a gear. Everton, 10 men, we didn't step it up. I thought these players showed a bit of pride today. It doesn't change my mind. It does not change my mind. Look, these players are going to have to go and win the next 4 or 5 to even start to change my mind. But I thought it was nice to see a little bit of fight. Xerxes took his goal well. We all on the watch along was saying, look, Xerxes not great. He's not. I do take on board the comment that Xerxes probably needs a run of games. First half, the ball didn't stick to him at all. I didn't think he was particularly good. He scored his goal. I do take the point that Xerxes needs a run of games. Fine. But my caveat to that is you've got to be ready. You are a United player. And this is what's wrong, is why aren't these players ready? And I fully accept the fact that Xerxes needs game time. I get it. He's getting it now, right? So, he's played 2 and scored 1. So look, I hope that Xerxes can kick on from it. I hope that we can rely on him. I hope he scores some more goals. I hope he proves us completely wrong. Look, he took his goal extremely well today. So, well done to him. Mason Mount, look, I thought that free kick was excellent. Very, very good free kick. Like, as I say, I do like Mason Mount. To me, he's a bit like a wasp. I find him a bit like a wasp. Other than the goal, I thought he did some good bits and pieces. But again, I found him so ineffective in the first half. But look, doesn't matter. Second half. So let me get through the comments and then we can talk for the game. Always difficult to get a shot on target and test the keeper. Our keeper has always worked. Arsenal dropping points as well. If Chelsea would have had 11 men, they would have won that. Remember in 2012 when we got 0 shots on target at the Etihad, Joe Hart had nothing to do. BBC gave Mount man of the match. I mean, fuck off, BBC. I mean, talk about English bias, right? I mean, Mason Mount for man of the match. Fuck right off. I'm sorry. Mason Mount was not the man of the match. I'm sorry. He wasn't. I thought Dalot played well today. I put him on the thumbnail. I actually thought he had a decent game today. Xerxes scored a goal. You can probably give him a shout. I thought that... Did Ahmad have a good game? I don't really know. I don't really know with these players. Look, Mason Mount scored. Do I think that Mason Mount was the man of the match? Not for me, but look, we'll go through the plays, we'll go through the score. Look, as we talk about it, my mind may change anyway. Important we beat Salford FC. Do we just convince ourselves that United are going to lose, then they win? Look, Nick Aruzzi, mate. That is a good point. I'm not convinced on anything. I said this morning, as much as we could lose, we could equally win. Now, I just don't know. I just don't know. Wavecut says, get Fonseca or Joachim Low. After the way Walton played, is he still worth chasing? Yes, he is. First half, Walton, there was a couple of balls. Look, the ball that Walton played through for the penalty was fantastic. Walton, for me, he wouldn't be in my top 5 anyway. I like him. I think Walton is a very specialist player, right? I think if you've got a Casido type, if you've got a Declan Rice type, then Walton, I think for Walton to work, I think you need to play a midfield 3. I think he's too specialist for me to play a double, like a pivot. So I like Walton. He's not my first choice. I think he's more of a specialist player. But look, I thought he played well. Xerxes equals penguin foot. We looked absolutely S in the first 45 minutes. Big up, JB. Big up, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well. Penguin from the Batman. Hit the like button. Exactly. It costs nothing. Grace said, we can all admit being a United fan is stressful. Nice goal by Xerxes. Zerkatov. Grace, I thought that Delo had a fantastic game today. Well, not fantastic, but I actually thought, and if you noticed, I put him on the thumbnail as well because I was confident that he'd start. I thought he had one of his better games today. Don't get me wrong, he's not an amazing player, but I thought he had a decent game today. Who is the name change does my head in? I know I can't stand the name change either. I'm happy that we won today, but yeah, I just think the play he picks are wrong. Says everyone is fit and ready. He needs to be Lemens, Delict, Yorgu, Lucha, Ahmad, Dorgu, Kobe, Ugarte, Cunha, Bruno, and Mbama. Look, Josh, mate. Look again, mate. Getting your opinions tonight. This show is always about your views. If I sort of comment on your opinion, doesn't mean that I think it's wrong at all. I just it sparks a conversation, right? Ugarte's a myth, mate. For me, Casemiro has to play, right? Ugarte's not great. Ugarte for me is just Ugarte, isn't it, mate? Look, I respect the comment maybe with those players. Kobe Manu as well. In my humble view, I don't think you put Kobe in as an 8. I don't think you can play Ugarte and Kobe as the pivot. I just don't think he is. We need 2 box-to-box players, I think, anyway. And Kobe's not a box-to-box player. I think we need a specialist number 8. And I'm sorry to say this, I think there's a myth around Kobe Manu. I think there's a myth around Ugarte. I don't think, look, Casemiro today, look, when we go through the game, again, I'll give you my opinions. You get your opinions in as well. I don't know what Amorim said in the change room at half time, but they've improved and deserved the equaliser. The name changes, yeah, I agree with you. Yes, pivot, brother. Delo, best player today. Say it again, JB. Look, I thought Delo had one of his better games. I did. Was he the best player? I think you could give him a shout as one of the better players today. I do. Nikarutsu super chat. Thanks, buddy. Absolute legend of the channel. Big up, JB. Point on me. Another hard-fought win by 3 points. Nonetheless, Nikarutsu, mate, I can't thank you enough, my friend. I will enjoy that pint. Thank you, my friend. Absolute legend. It always blows my mind when people put in super chats, mate. It is phenomenal. And look, mate, I really do appreciate it. And you're right. 3 points is 3 points. He did himself. At least Delo didn't cost us a goal. We still need new signings. Nicky, mate, Nicky T, we absolutely need some signings. Simon says, good to see Sir Martinez in the cameo role, but it seemed pointless putting Manu on for the last 4 minutes. Manu's done. Manu's done. Amorim threw Yoro and Dorgu under the bus and giving Manu 3 minutes. He did. I saw that, and I want to talk about Amorim as well. I do. Amorim throwing these young players under the bus. Look, let's just talk about that for a second, right? Before we get into the game, right? Amorim throwing these young players under the bus, and this is why I'm asking the question tonight: is what are we? I don't know. Like I question Amorim. What is he doing? Calling these players out, calling Yoro, Dorgu out again. I mean, I don't get. Is it that he's trying to inspire these players? I don't know. Is Amorim trying to inspire these players by saying you're not playing well, you're a big pile of poo? He didn't say that, but you're a big pile of poo. I need more from you. I don't get what Amorim is trying to do here. Throwing these young players under the bus again. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't. I really, really don't. Simon says, for a change, Shaw had a good game. He remained uninjured despite play sliding about on the wet pitch. Up the Chelsea with 10 men. Have it. Stephen Morlock. Stephen, if Chelsea had have had a full complement of players, Chelsea would have won that game today. Grace says, Manu is a 10 in a 4-2-3-1. Agreed. If we play Kobe and Nugate, it's a mess waiting to happen. I agree with you. It's been questioned if Kobe is a midfielder. I don't think he is. Daniel Garcia says, put your hood inside out, then put your hand in the hood and don't take it out. Put your hand inside, put your hood inside out, then put your hand in the hood and don't take it out. No. I remember when a pint of lager with lime was £1.20. Yeah, I mean, geez, I don't go that far back. Throws the kids under the bus, but the experienced lads get away with it. Yeah, I still think we are missing Cunha, but he should be okay for Thursday. We are missing Shesko. We're missing Cunha. Look, the problem is that Ineos have been exposed. We're playing Xerxes, who's not a striker. He's a 10 as a striker. We've got one striker. Effectively, we've got one striker. What are Ineos doing? It baffles me. He's trying to motivate the young players to play better, but going about it the wrong way. Nicaruzzi, mate, yeah, I agree with you. Agree with you completely. I think that is what he's trying to do, but I think he is doing it. He's doing it in the wrong way. Yeah. The Glazers are my friend. JB is from the 1930s. I'm 56, 57 this December. Nikki T, happy birthday whenever it is. 57. I mean, you've watched this side for longer than me. It's been close to a year since Xerxes scored. If he gets injured, we're screwed. So we need to. We do need another striker. We would be nice to have seen Arsenal top 3 points, but also puts Chelsea closer in the title race. And I can't watch Garnacho lift the Prem. Can I get a birthday shout out? Grace, happy birthday, Grace Sheridan, legend of this channel. Brilliant. Grace is an absolute legend on here. Supports this channel, always, always gives some cracking answers back. 35 in May. Happy birthday, Grace. For May, 35 years old. Jesus, I remember when I was 35, 7 years ago. Yeah, I'm 34 in April, says Scott. Yeah, mate. I mean, yeah, I'll be. Yeah, so my birthday's in May, as well. So I'll be 43 in May. So yeah, when you get to your 40s, every year's a big deal. Never too early, exactly. When are Maz, Ahmad, and Burma supposed to be going to the AFCON? I think it is. I think it's next week. You're not 43. Stop lying. Is it because you think I'm 53? No, I am 42. I'll be 43 next May. So yeah, some people think I'm 50. It's the grey hair, right? Simon says, have a few drinks on me. But no, I am. I'm 42, 43 next May. JB, can we get the emo JB on stream one day? Honestly, I don't think any black dye in the world is going to fix this emo. Grace says, don't worry, I've been going grey since I was 16. The same here. I had my first greys when I was 15, 16 as well. I'm a very young 56. Lots of people think I'm 40. Nicky T. I wish I had your genes. I'm 43 and people think I'm 50 sometimes. But yeah, Nicky T. Legend. Simon says, I was 62 on November the 17th. Happy belated birthday. Look, get in your birthdays. I'll shout you out your birthdays. I'm giving Grace, a shout out for May next year. So look, Simon, happy birthday, mate. 62 is nothing to be sniffed at, my friend. Mate, you've got more worldly experience than me. 62, I think to myself, in 17 years' time, I'm going to be 60 years old, and I'm gonna be like Ricky. I hope. Nicky says we're sorely going to miss Mbeumo and Ahmad when they go to the AFCON. Scott says same. I went grey at 24. I'm here with a bunch of coffee. Dodgers, says Scott. Yes, mate. Grey started early. A lot of fans since Fergie left. Happy belated birthday, Simon. Exactly. So look, let's get into the game. Let's talk about the game. Grace, I'm 34, but aged 20 years. But what? I know that feeling, Grace. I really, really do. So let's get into this game, right? Simon, we mentioned that today on stream, and again, I do think it's right to mention that again. So Billy Bonds, West Ham legend, 799 games, was there for 20 years. Condolences to Billy Bonds. I mean, when you've got a legend like that, big up to West Ham fans, big up to the club today, and obviously the family as well. When it's never easy, when people die, at the end of the day, football player, legend of the club, but he does have a family. He's gonna have a family, right? So it's a tragic loss. It's never nice when your hero dies, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who he's their idol, he's their legend, and it's a sad day. It's a sad day. What does everyone think about United being managed by a team of Ollie and Roy? Nathan, look, mate, get in your opinions, my friend. I mean, you give me your opinion. What do I think? I think it would be a disaster. I'm not going to lie. Look, that should have been done when Ollie was here. I think that should have been done when Ollie was here the first time. In my opinion, we can't go back to Ollie. You can't go backwards, right? We've got to go forwards and progress as a club. Otherwise, we might as well go back to Van Gaal. We might as well go back to David Moyes. We need to progress. Ollie is not a tactician. Some may argue that Amorim isn't either. But we've got to progress as a club. I like Ollie. Ollie's going to be a legend of this club. I love Keane, but I think that should have been done many, many years ago. So I think that time has passed. I do. Arteta out, says Grace. Arsenal are nothing without Saliba. How long till United fall off again? And this is the question. So, Trader Tom, this is the question. Can we go and repeat today next game? That is the question. And this, I am very pragmatic. Okay, I'm not the type of fan who takes one single win and we're back. We're suddenly back. I don't think we played particularly well today, but I will celebrate a win. A win is a win. 3 points is 3 points, and it's important, right? Every 3 points is important. It puts us in a good mood. We will talk about the game. I'm not fooled. Amorim today, again, after the promises of doing something different. How can you play the same team that did that and not punish them? It baffles me. But look, I've got a theory on that as well. Exactly, Trader. I dread to think. I forgot about Van Gaal even existed. Are you hammering out if we lose to Wolves? No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm manager in. I'm in for the ride. I am manager in. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm necessarily hammering in. But I am a manager in until it becomes to a point where it's so untenable that he has to go. But look, I'm not. I don't need to be in or out. Original Pro Master says that we're winning the league. I love your optimism, my friend. I just don't think that's going to happen. Yes, the football under Fergie was the best ever days. We won't lose again, Wolves. Yeah. West Ham lost today and went down to 10 men. So can we win? Let's see. I think we're at home to West Ham, aren't we? Or is it who's next? Look, let's get it up. Well, let's get the teams up. Okay. Right. Let's get this up. Okay, so next match is West Ham at home on the 4th. So we're in on Thursday. So we've got West Ham at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home, and then Aston Villa away. Look, Aston Villa away. Let's not even think about that for now, because that's going to be painful, because their home form is fantastic. So we've got West Ham at home, 8 o'clock, the next game. We should be winning it. We should absolutely be winning that game. Wolves, West Ham are going to be fighting, so could be tough games. I'd be interested in the line up for Thursday. JB is pro Amorim. I am. Music is harmful to the brain. I disagree. I disagree with that. I disagree. Delo pisses me off more and more every game. West Ham and Wolves. Crody says we won the game today, so let's just enjoy it until Thursday. Now, look, I agree with you, but we still need to talk about the game. I'm gonna talk about the game. I'm gonna talk about the negatives, the positives, but ultimately, you're right. I'm enjoying the 3 points. Slot got one more game. Bournemouth are usually hard to break down. Palat says hi, girls. Hello. Paul says not long got in from the game. Mate, Paul. Mate, all I can say for today, Paul James, is, mate, I am so pleased for you that this team won. I'm so pleased for you, my friend, spending your money to go away and watch this game. I'm more pleased for you than anybody else. Obviously, I'm pleased for us on here. I'm pleased, that we got 3 points. But Paul, I am so pleased for you. To go away and to do that, because I know Crystal Palace is quite some way away. I don't know where you live, but yeah, to be an away fan, a traveling fan, to go to that game, I salute you so much, because they got to win. You must have been abjectly, first half, you must have been annoyed. But look, I'm glad they got the win. Besiktas, yeah. Were you Ollie out, or did you stick with him until the end? It's going to be difficult for me to prove anything, right? But I can just tell you, because I am the sort of person who, I don't bullshit. I don't lie. I was Ollie in, but it come a point where Ollie did have to go. I was Ollie in, right? But then it came to a point where these players made it so untenable for the manager. I wanted Ollie to go at the end. I wasn't out. I wanted him to go for his own sanity, because he looked like a broken man. Ollie aged. I mean, you could see him age, and it was almost like somebody taking one of my favourite players and just beating him every single game. And I wanted him to go, not out. I wanted him to leave for his own sanity. I didn't want him out. I just wanted him to go because he just looked so unhappy. He looked so unwell, and I was with him. I was with him until the very end. It was awful. Paqueta got himself suspended, would definitely have caused us problems. I saw that. I did actually watch the end of the West Ham match as well. Paqueta, I don't know what he was doing. He got himself sent off for nothing. I mean, if I was the coach tonight, I would be absolutely annoyed. He got himself sent off for arguing about God knows what. I felt at that point West Ham could have sneaked one. I thought West Ham played well with 10 men. I thought if they'd have been if they'd have had 11 men, I think they possibly could have snuck something. But Liverpool won, so Nico Oli was better as a player. He's just not management material. Nico Russo, mate, you're spot on. I loved him as a player. Very, very intelligent player. And yeah, I mean, in the end, I loved him here. It was a good time. The COVID days, I was so pleased for him. After the first games and what he did, and it was Ollie at the wheel, and then the wheels inadvertently came off. Sad to see, but yeah, you're right. Can Lamens keep another clean sheet? I hope so. 3 points is all that matters, but some of the football was shocking. Exactly, Paul. Exactly. Exactly. I think he keeps the same team as today. Grace, I agree. Paul says, I'm in Chester. Jesus Christ, Paul. I mean, that is some way. But again, look, Paul, I mean, this is why. I'll always say this. We've got some of the best fans, right? You've got Paul, who's travelled down from Chester all the way to Palace. And I mean, it is a trek. It is an absolute trek because I know where Palace is. It's a trek. And Paul, massive respect to you, mate. And as I say, right, I'm glad you got the 3 points today. And it is all that matters. You go home and away. Ultimately, it's all about those 3 points. And look, Paul, I agree with you, mate. It's 3 points, but we're going to go through the game. And then once we've gone through the game, that's it. I'm going to try not to go too heavy on the plays tonight. Look, they won. I think we have to move on to the next game. Look, I'm just going to say this, frankly. I absolutely detest these players. Not all of them, but I pretty much detest right now these players. What they're doing to the club, what they're doing to the coach. Amorim, I'm starting to dislike him. It doesn't mean that I want him out. I'm starting to dislike him. So I don't know where we are. But look, we did win today. Palace would love to beat us in the return match. Yes, body language from some of them was embarrassing. And Paul, mate, this is the thing we don't see, right? The first half was horrendous. Scott said, I was Ollie in till 2 games before he got sacked. Before I pass judgment on Amorim, I want to see how he gets on with the next 2 games, says Simon. Sign Ronaldo second time was such a bad decision. Ollie left at the right time. Dino, I agree, my friend. How are we doing this fine evening? Dino, we are extremely well, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well. So Simon says, it's ironic. We can play very well in matches and still lose and play crap in another and get a scrappy win. Nikuruchi says United have a good little run of upcoming games. West Ham at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home, and Aston Villa away. Aston Villa is going to be a nightmare. Aston Villa haven't lost Aston Villa have lost once in 30 odd games at home. Their home record is as good as Madrid's. So Aston Villa, I would mark that one as a asterisk. Let's have a look. Bournemouth and Villa are tough fixtures. Just look at last season. Season ticket holder since 1990. That Paul, mate, absolute. Again, my friend, I absolutely salute you, my friend. I mean, I hope I hope that you remain a season ticket holder for as long as you possibly can. I know there are plans afoot, and I just hope that 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 you keep your ticket. I'm glad the away fans got something to cheer about today. Exactly. Look, I mean, look, let's give a big up to Paul. I mean, Paul James, let's give him an absolute big up today because he went to the game. Big up to Paul. Watch Leroy Lita today in a charity match that Reddit's definitely still got it. Leroy Lita, I had him in my back in the day. I had him in my fantasy football team. I won it that season. He was good. He was all right. He was doing my nutting. Consistency is our number one weakness and has been since Fergie. Manager is clueless. You can see he's out of his depth. There's nothing he does can change things. It's just like for me. I'll give you this opinion early, right, Paul? And I'll give you a spoiler alert, right? I'll give you my opinion now on Amorim. And I've come to this conclusion today, right? So I went back and watched some of the pressers and the things that he's talking about, right? One of the things that I said today about the presser, or was it yesterday? I think it was today. Amorim doesn't talk like a United manager. Amorim talks like a Sporting manager. Amorim talks like a Crystal Palace manager. Amorim is quite clear. I'm still Amorim in for now. It's quite clear to me that Amorim is out of his depth. I think that is something I can't ignore. It doesn't mean that I'm Amorim out. I think Amorim is out of his depth. If you look at the team he plays, if you look at the fact that I think he is in awe of Fernandes. I think he basically lets the management team or his management players run the dressing room. I think he lets basically they play. And to be honest with you, I actually don't think that Amorim had anything to do with that win today. I think that the players performed. I think it was the players that decided to come out and play. I don't think the coach said anything to them today. I think that they just decided amongst themselves that they were going to try to win the game today. So I think Amorim at the moment is very ineffective. I think he's very, very young. I think he's inexperienced. I don't think he's ready for this job. It doesn't mean, look, Amorim's here and I want to support him. I want to give him every opportunity to succeed. But the more and more I watch the press conferences, the more and more I see his demeanour, the more and more that I hear him speak, I just don't think he's ready. Bournemouth can have beaten us, but this time we can go to cherry picking. No pun intended. We need to take each game. Look, and Scott, you're right. It is game by game. I feel like Amorim is learning game by game. I feel like some of these players are learning game by game as well. Crowley says, disappointed Lacey not been given a chance today. Not surprised though, as Rúben is far too risk adverse. When is the cucumber stream, JB? Look, I need to set it up with Dino. Me and Dino, we need to do cooking with Dino and JB. Coach has no impact. Crowley, look, when I'm saying that Amorim has no impact, right? What I'm saying is, Amorim, of course, he has an impact, right? Amorim picks this team, right? Amorim picks this team. In fact, I think this team probably picks itself, right? But what I'm saying is, Amorim is ineffective in game. You tell me what Amorim does in game right now that you've gone, wow, that's changed the game completely. Amorim, of course, Amorim impacts the game, right? Because he chooses the players, he picks these players, he trains these players. But what I'm saying here is that you tell me a game that Amorim has changed players and you've gone, wow, second half was night and day. Amorim can barely impact the game with the subs that he plays. He goes and sends it out. Look, the guy's still playing the same team that we lost the game to 10 men. What is Amorim doing? What change did Amorim make for that goal to happen? He didn't. He didn't make a change. Xerxes scored it. You know, what change did he make for the second goal? He didn't. It was made by Fernandes and Mount. This is my point. Is the fact that, look, Amorim has a big impact on this team, but when I'm talking about impact, I'm talking about in-game decisions. Craig says, I'm on the top of the world. Hope you've got that reference, Simon. He can't change things to better us if we go 1 or 2-0 down. We basically lost. That's because we haven't got any of the players. No more what makes the other managers. And again, there are so many different things at play here. Amorim doesn't have players. You know, the fundamental reason why I want to see him, because I think he's going to be a good coach. I really, really do. I think with players, is it Amorim right now? Is he looks lost because he doesn't have his team? You know, if you're going to fight, if you're going to fight a war, right, and you know that you're being sent to war with a gun, and you're going out to fight tanks, wouldn't you be nervous? So it's almost like they're sending Amorim out with, he's not equipped, and he knows he can't do anything because he doesn't have the subs. Maybe the caveat to what I just said is this: maybe Amorim feels like he doesn't have the team. So basically, as Paul has said there, we can't be effective in game, and as Scott says, because we don't have players. So I think there's so many factors here. AFCON looming, I agree. Cucumber stream. Nicholas says, do you think Amorim bit off more than he can chew when he decided to come to United? Nicholas, if I'm being honest, yes. Yes, I think any manager that comes here, I don't think truly understand the depth of the job that is needed. I don't think Amorim fully understood what this team was. You can't, like, how it's like this, right? When you go to interview for a job and you've got the skill set, and they sell you the job, and they say, look, you know, this job is going to be great, right? And then it's not until you start the job that you meet the people. You know, it's like when you interview for a job, they're not necessarily going to take you around the whole of the building. They're going to show you the best bits, right? You're not going to know the intrinsic working of a workplace until you get in there, right? Amorim's had zero idea. And I think he's bitten off more than he can chew, because I don't think he realizes what this job entails. I don't think anybody, if you brought in Pep here, I don't think he would get it. Klopp, he wouldn't get it. The only person that could come in here and work with this set of players is Southgate. And when I mean that, that is not a good thing. Southgate would be perfect for the Glazers. He would come in, he'd work with his bag of crap, and he would probably get us 10th, 8th every single season, right? We now need to see Ineos make a move. We now need to see Ineos do something. I'll get for the game in a minute. If Cunha is fit for Thursday, then surely Xerxes will be on the bench. I think so. JB wants to video my cucumber. I do, mate. I want to video you handling the cucumber like a master. Which manager do you feel could attract those players? Yeah. Our subs bench wasn't exactly that brilliant today. At least the AFCON Dalo might start on the right, stop being a hindrance on the left. Can you do a backflip? If I tried to do a backflip, I would probably break my neck. No, I am not speed. No, I am not speed. Point of view, JB, and the cucumber of Dino with a smug smile on his face, mate. Yeah, I would, yeah. There is no best bits, says Brad. Oh Lord, what an image, JB and Dino with that innocent cucumber. Look, mate, don't knock it until you've tried it. We'll be on like on. I don't want to say the word in case it gets banned, but we'd be on that OnlyFans. Lord won't help that bitch, Nick. May God have mercy on us all. So look, let's just get through the game, and then we'll just get to it. Right. So look, basically, I'm not going to go too much on these plays today. Look, let's just say this: first half was awful. The first half was absolutely disgraceful. Again, I thought Euro for that. Don't knock it until you stroked it. Euro, I thought had an off game. Bringing Mateta down for the penalty. I thought Palace, again, as we spoke about before the game, I thought they were true to form. I thought they attacked in the areas that I thought that we would. I thought Wharton was pretty decent. I just think their wing backs are better. I just thought they looked like a better team. When we had the ball, I thought we were very ineffective in Bumo getting a yellow card as well. Exactly. I thought we were ineffective. I thought, we couldn't get the ball. We couldn't get the ball to stick to feet. I actually think Luke Shaw had a decent-ish first half. I mean, that tackle that he made. Oh, Jesus, Scott. That tackle that he made. Look, I actually, look, mate, I thought Luke Shaw today was probably his best game. Doesn't mean that I think he played good, but I thought that was his best go. I thought Ahmad in the first half wasn't great. De Ligt, I thought, had a sort of offish game as well. He was still okay. Delo, I thought he was okay. Wasn't his best game in the world, but I thought he was good. Look, Casemiro, I've got this. Look, I like Casemiro. The thing that I like about him, right, is that he does these little things. He does these little headers. He does these little movements, like the couple of free kicks that he gets. Casemiro does these little moves and these little tricks, right? He wasn't great today, but he's the sort of player that I wish was 29 years old, right? 29 years old, Casemiro would be fantastic, right? His little tricks, his moves, but the guy is just getting older, right? So ineffective on the basis of his pace, but he's still, I can see why Casemiro plays. JB went lost the full 90 minutes with Dino. I'm not reading those comments. Only a 5-point now gap. Arsenal are far from running away with it. People are setting up the bottle job already. Harif. So, Sky, you guys are cracking me up. And then let's look forward to the forward line. Fernandez, again, slightly better than he was. Very, very ineffective. Lots of gaps. Second half, we can talk about that as well. But look, first half, you can argue that Xerxes, again, Jesus. First half was awful. And I will hold up my hands and say, and many of us were saying that, this is not a great performance. And they said, can we talk about Can we talk about the Geordies, Nathan? Hi JB. Let me go through the first half, and then we'll talk about it. JB wants to laugh about being a true professional. Mate, I am. Yoa lagged when he took Mateta down. What do you think of retaking of the penalty? Look, Brad, those are the rules. I don't think if you remember back, and I know it's not the same thing, but if you remember that Henry and Perez won, right? He messed up. My argument to this is this: if you do a foul throw, do you get to take it again? No. Nobody was encroaching him. Nobody caused him to do that. So in my humble view, it is the rules, but he shouldn't be allowed to retake the penalty. It wasn't. It was just his own fault. But there you go. So look, first half was absolutely awful. It wasn't as bad as the Newcastle game on the basis that we actually tried to do something. It wasn't great. Newcastle, Nathan. Like let's get into that slightly. How much is Bruno's goal going to last for? I don't know. I don't know. Look, I'd rather our front three score the goals. But what I was impressed with, I will say this for Fernandes today, was giving up the free kick. I was actually quite impressed by the fact that he didn't just go for it. He let Mason Mount take the free kick. I was actually quite impressed by that today. Using him as a puppet. Wash your other hand. Audition for Wharton, United fan. Yes. Adam Wharton. Look, Adam Wharton, for me, JB the Master of Puppets. Honestly. Audition for Wharton. I think Adam Wharton is a good player. He's not in my top 3 or 4 players. Would I be disappointed if we got him? No, but I think he's more of a specialist sort of player. I don't think he's. I just think he's Adam Wharton for me is one of those specialist players that I think would suit City. I think he's one of those players who. I think he's more of a luxury player. I think he's got all the attributes to be a fantastic player. But I think he kind of needs to be in a midfield 3. Liverpool won today, but come the next game they'll lose. How many games is Anderson is the guy? I agree. Anderson for me is the guy, but look, forget about it. He's not coming. So look, Newcastle. Big up to them. I thought their performance was fantastic. It is true. What's his name? Voltamada. Fantastic player. Newcastle again. You know that they are they going to come back into it? Newcastle had a fantastic performance. You know, when they're on form again, I think Newcastle can be quite inconsistent as well. But look, that 4-1 away win, fantastic. Everton is not an easy place to go. I call him Voldemort. But, you know, to go away and do that away from home, fantastic. Lewis Hall goes to the World Cup. Possibly. I mean, he's a great player, isn't he? You know, like I like all these sort of young players that come through. Newcastle do seem to be one of those teams who do bring in those local lads, which I think is fantastic. But Newcastle again, I think that the thing that's going to trouble them, I think, is Champions League. Now, do you have a big enough squad? I do, but the Champions League is so important. So look, congratulations to them. You know, I thought they had an absolute fantastic win. And again, you know, I've got no issue with Newcastle. You know me on here, guys. You know, I don't revel in other people's losses or wins. I just thought that was a fantastic away win to go to Everton, buoyed by that 1-0 win. We're still in the mix. No, it's true. You are. So look, I think it was just Chelsea. Mateta. I don't understand. I do not understand why we didn't go for. I think Mateta for me is one of those unfashionable players that I think if he went to an Arsenal, I think if he went to a City, I think if he went to us, I think he'd bang you in goals. I think Mateta is a bully. I think Mateta is an absolute bully. I think he's a beast. I think he's powerful. I think he's quick. I think he's an absolute. I would sign him. I think he's fantastic. United to win the league. pro trading school. No, mate. No. Come on. Let's have some serious conversations. Yeah, let's have some conversations where it's not. Are we still in the race for a title? Are we mathematically still in the race for the title? Of course we are. We're getting, look. Let's focus, mate, on one win at a time. Fergie used to do it. Fergie used to forget the last game and focus on this game, and that is what we need to do. We need to just focus on the next game and go from there. Slot inherited a Klopp team. Tommy MC, he did. Slot is a bold fraud. We were unlucky up the Chelsea. Stephen Moore, I thought you were very unlucky today. I think if you had 11 men, I think you would have won that today. Mateta and Semenyo still being at their current club is incredible. Really top class players. I agree. Mathematically, yes. One game at a time. Then says, do you have money to spend in Jan without any outgoing? So, Nathan, we've spoken about this, but I will go into this again, right? So, the media and other channels will have you believe that we've got this war chest of 150 million, right? Now, technically, do we have that? You could argue yes, right? But we lost, and this is how PSR works now, is we basically lost 34 million pounds, right? We've got 105. So the difference between the two is what? 41, say, right? 60 something, 67 million, right? We've got 67 million pounds room to spend. Without signings, without sales, we've only got 67. Now, what you could do is you could spend 20 million of that and buy 100 million pound player, say, and go, look, we'll pay for him over 5 years, right? You could do that. Yeah. Pro says, good to see you again. Look, mate, fantastic to have you here. And thank you, my friend. So basically, in effect, unless we sell or we loan, I just don't think that we've got the money to buy. I think it's been. I really, really do. We are very much in the running for a European spot, but not winning the league. If we win on Thursday, then temporarily we could go third in the league. Simon, can you imagine that? Remember Drogba? I mean, Drogba was an absolute beast. I remember when Chelsea signed Drogba from Marseille, I think it was. Drogba was a beast, mate. Adam says, giving me all rainbow signs. Adam, welcome, my friend. Scott says we have around 66.5 yet to play with. We need a dynamo midfielder that connects players and link all around from the middle. Agreed. We need a midfielder. We basically need to go and get an Anderson. We need to go get a Stieler. Those are the sorts of players that we need to get. Nathan says, surely you go for Wharton or Anderson with a good chunk of money plus menu. Look, Nathan, Anderson's not. I think there's more chance of Anderson going back to you guys than coming to us. City are going to be in for him. Look, the only chance we've got is if we finish in the Champions League places. Leo, I think Anderson goes to Chelsea. Sorry, I think Anderson goes to City. Liverpool are going to be there as well. Chelsea are going to be there as well. So, United only have history. S forever, like religion. Adam, hilarious, mate. Welcome to the channel, my friend. I love Roy Keane, says Tommy MC. What a shame the transfer window is not open before Christmas. We could have had 2 good midfielders, an early present, and then be ready for the new year. Nathan says there's a lot of talk of Joe Linton replacement, and he's the perfect player to do that. We had Stevie G couldn't lace Keane's boots. Anderson will land the City. I think so as well. So let's talk about second half. We've done and dusted The first half, recognised it was absolute dross, awful. Second half, let's talk about the positives. The team came out second half and looked better. Did they look that much better? No. In my humble view, I don't think they look that much better. I think they upped their work rate. I will absolutely get on that. I thought that Bruno probably improved a bit. Mason Mount looked a little bit better. I just think we stepped it up a little bit, right? And then I think that the thing, and Scott, I think I'm with you. I think Steeler will end up at Madrid as well. I think there were two things that happened in that second half. Number one, Palace dropped off a cliff. Palace looked absolutely shattered. They looked like a team that played in the midweek. Palace dropped off completely. They were still a threat, but Palace looked like a team that played on Thursday. We looked like a team that hadn't, and I thought we applied the pressure. Other than the 2 goals, do I really think that we were okay? I thought that we were okay. Was it a performance for the ages? No. Bruno 2 assists today. I mean, if you can call an assist for a free kick an assist, he fucking laid it off to Mason Mount, and he basically put the ball over to Xerxes. It wasn't a weldy assist. Xerxes had everything to do. So the fact that Bruno gets 2 assists for that pisses me off, because they weren't assists. I don't think laying off a ball for somebody to hit it is an assist, but that's fine. So look, I thought, again, I didn't see anything spectacular. The changes, it was nice to see the Butcher back, mainly coming on for 5 or 10 minutes. Scott, he is, mate. He is a stat padder. There are 2 more stats for that pad, right? I thought Xerxes looked a little bit better second half. I thought Ahmad did okay. I thought Delo. I thought he looked a bit better. Again, not impressed. I thought it was the one thing that I will say about this performance is, look, United came back into the match. United didn't capitulate. United just played through it. I don't think Amorim was responsible. I don't think Amorim masterminded the second half. I think what happened is that I think that these players, Crystal Palace, were tired, and these players decided to up a gear. And I think we won today. It's going to surprise me to say this. I think we won today because of the players. I think we won today because the players upped their game. What have we said? Dean says, I said it at halftime in the watch along, they need to show us something, and they did. And look, I agree. I don't think that was Amorim today. I don't. I think the players just went, do you know what? We need a little bit of professional pride here, and they did it. Nikaruchi, United were okay, but not brilliant. We survived this scare after the penalty, but luck was on our side. I agree. We will get Belieber and someone like a Neves. Fully fit, I think we may have... fully fit Palace, I think we may have lost or drawn. Dino is true, but we can only play what's there. Tom MC says that Sheffield white shirt, Paolo Di Canio. Do you remember Benito Carbone, the guy that pushed over the referee? Simon says, I felt that when we got the second goal, Palace were going to go and get an equaliser. Eden says, it's hard to say, but this Bruno must go. I love him, but the system and Bruno is a big no. Neves, Gallagher, and maybe Belieber in January. Dino, mate, I would love that to be true. I just don't think it is. Remember how good Zola was. Zola was a fantastic player. I remember Hullet when he was a play manager, taught Andre Flo, Viali, Dennis Wise, who was in goal, Ed De Hoy. Yeah. Nick Russo says, watch United get none of these targets and we'll end up with somebody we never expected. Baliba deal will come down to Brighton. They are the masters of getting the price they want. Zola, the one player Fergie hated but loved at the same time. Zola was one of them players that you just love to hate. I mean, he was a magician. I really like Zola. Just one of those players you just little dude, but just absolutely just Flo. Remember him yet? Tor Andre Flo, good player. I'm just trying to think who else was in that team actually. Zola to Andre Flo. Who else was in that team? Dennis Wise. Was John Terry in that team back then? Ed De Hoy was in goal. Damien Duff. I mean, but I think that was later on, wasn't it? Simon says, okay, guys, I'm off to bed. Great stream. I hope to catch you on the next one. Have a good day. Well done to yeah, Simon, well done. We'll see you on the next one. Davids says Scott, quality Poyet. Yeah, Poyet was a fantastic player as well. Chelsea at that time had some really good players. I think Chelsea were poised at that time. As we talk about players, we need Essien clone right now. I think we need the Makalele clone. Essien was a good player. I think we need the Makalele clone. When they got him, again, he was sort of approaching towards sort of end of that time. But Hasselbank, Jimmy Floyd, when they got Jimmy Floyd from Leeds, Jimmy Floyd was Hasselbank was brilliant. I really liked Hasselbank. A very good striker. Again, as you say, very underrated player. Scott says we need a Yara. We need a midfielder, mate. I think. So look, what am I going to score these players? So like, get in there with your scores. Let me know what you score these players, right? So I thought Lemens today didn't do anything really wrong. Penalty wise, you couldn't really do anything. We need a tank with legs. Agree, Dino. Look, Lemens today for me, 6. Right, I know 6 is going to be an average score. I'd give him a 6. A Delo today, I would give Delo today. What would I give Delo today? I would give Delo a 5.5. You can argue a 6, but I think probably a 5.5 to a 6 today for me. Euro, you've got to give him a 5 today. I like him. Nikarutsu says a 4. We need the tripod in the midfield. We do. I think he splits opinion. Someone's giving him a 6, someone's giving him a 4. The Portuguese wing back. I mean, I'd probably go 5.5, 5. Euro today for me was a 5. I think he was off it today. The Ligt for me, I think, and a 4 you've got there. I'm not going to argue with that. Scott says the lower 1. No, today I'm going to be fair on him. I generally thought he was a 5.5 today. Euro, I think you can argue between a 4 and a 5. It wasn't his best game. De Ligt, I don't think had his best game either. But again, he's still round about that 6. I would give De Ligt today probably a 5.5, a 4.5. I don't disagree. I think 4.5 is slightly too low. I would go 5.5 for him. Possibly a 5 because I would give Luke Shaw today a 6. It pains me. It pains me. It pains me to say it. It fucking pains me. I thought Luke Shaw did a lot of good things today. I thought his tackling was really good. I thought Luke Shaw today for me was a 6. You can argue 6.5. I would say I thought Luke Shaw today had an okay performance. You bang your head, JB. Look. These are your scores. I'm not going to argue If you think Shaw was a 7 today, we've got no issue with that. But you guys know that I'm not Luke Shaw's biggest fan. And for me to give Luke Shaw a 6, it's painful. But no, look, Luke Shaw, to be fair to him today, was a 6. I thought he was average. And you're right. I mean, the one thing for me, I was on probably a 5.5. And I've been asking these players to tackle, to run. And there was a crunching tackle today that Luke Shaw made when he sprinted out, and he absolutely took him out. So look, my eye is twitching, but I think Luke Shaw today deserved a 6. So he was a 6, played better than usual. It pains me, it pains me, but no, I've got to be fair. Luke Shaw was a 6 today. Casemiro 5. JB, there is a disturbance in the force. No, it is. I think I'm going to the dark side. Casemiro today for me, a 5. Yeah, you could go a 5.2, a 5.5. I'd give him a 5. What I like about him is the little flicks and touches. Like his brain is still there. Is Luke Shaw in the room with you, making you say blink twice if you're in trouble? Casemiro 5, ineffective today. Yeah, agreed. But again, he still does these little flicks and touches. He wasn't as impactful as he has been, but I still think Casemiro still adds something. Ineffective, but Shaw is a stroke. JB's. I'd rather be stroked by Freddy Krueger. I'd rather be given a cucumber stroke by Freddy Krueger. Bruno today. Now there's going to be so many people out there screaming up. Bruno Fernandes today was a 7, 2 assists, and all that bollocks, right? I'm with you today. Nick Carucci, Bruno 7. Look, Bruno Fernandes today is going to separate so many people, right? I thought Bruno Fernandes today was shit. There were 2 assists, right? I don't think that laying off a free kick isn't assist, but it is. And when you put a ball over for a Xerxes, who basically has to do everything to put it into the back of the net, other than that, but what I did see from him today is I did see somebody who was running around more. I did see somebody who was trying to impact the game. I thought at times he was not impactful. Nick Carucci, I agree with you completely. So look, I'm going to be fair because I've got to be. There were 2 assists. I'd give Bruno a 6 today. Look, I as much as it pains me, you could go a 5.5, a 6. I'm going to go a 6 because I have to acknowledge the 2 assists. I don't think they were great. Do I think he was average? Yes. Do I think he was above average? No. But look, he ran around today. He tried to inspire the team today. I will give him a 6. You could give him a 6.5, 7, but for me, I'd give him a 6. Scott said, sure reminds me of Jabba the Hutt. I don't disagree. In Bumo today, we'll only remember the scoreline. Exactly, Nikarutsu. Exactly. In Bumo today, 5.5, 5. Did some okay things. Very, very, very difficult for him right now. I just don't think, I'm not going to, I can't disagree with that. You can argue a 5 to a 5.5. He works extremely hard. I think he struggled with that Ahmad as a wing back. I think he really, really does. I don't think he was in the game today. So yeah, I think 4.5 is probably about right. Ahmad. Ahmad was the wing back today. Ahmad, I'd give Ahmad today. I'd give Ahmad a 5.5. The reason is Ahmad, and again, you can always argue with Ahmad. I like Ahmad, right? I would give Ahmad a 5.5 today. The reason why is because he gets the ball and he runs at people. He tries to make stuff happen. If you give him the ball, he does try to do stuff. But Nikarutsu, you're right. The caveat to him getting the ball defensively today, I thought he was crap. I thought he was awful. But going forward, I just think he adds a lot. But you're right. Today he was losing the ball. Aiden, glory to United. Aiden, I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. I thought Ahmad was a touch better. So I would give Ahmad a 5.5. I just thought he was just a bit more effective. I just thought he just did a tiny bit more. Mason Mount today. Mason Mount. What do I give to Mason Mount? Mason Mount reminds me, and I'll keep saying this, Mason Mount reminds me of a wasp. And the reason why I say it is because he runs around and he annoys people, right? I'm going to give Mason Mount today, and I shall tell you for why I'm going to give him this, is because he pretty much played the whole game, right? Subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Aiden. I'm okay, been a United fan since 93. Legend, my friend. I've been a fan of this channel since 88. I would say I'm going to give him a 7 today. I'm going to give Mason Mount a 7 today for scoring, higher rating than my misses. So, Jackie, you crack me up. I'm going to give Mason Mount today a 7. Because he played the whole game. He scored a goal. He works extremely hard. Ineffective at points today, so I would give him a 7 today. You know, I like Mason Mount. I want him to do well. Look, he's not going to last the whole of the next 10 games, but look, I thought today he's a busy player. He annoys people. He got a goal. He played 7, and I would actually give him the man of the match today, just purely because the fact that he played, he scored a goal. You know, you could argue that Xerxes was probably the star man as well. I mean, Xerxes as well, before I forget about him. Xerxes was probably floating around a 4. I'd give him a 5.5, 6. You know, to strikers are judged on goals, right? Strikers we will see Mount 3. We will see Mount 3 out of those. Agreed. Links Africa works wonders. My favorite links, which you can't see it now, is Links Inca. They used to do that Inca one. I used to love that. So yeah, I think you're right. I think 5.8 for Xerxes. I'd give him a 6. Now I think that, you know, he's come into this game no matter what I think about him. I think that to come into this game today, to persevere, to score that goal at that time, for me, he gets a 6 for that. You know, you can't underestimate that finish. You know, he makes that finish. Fernandez will get the assist. It's not a fucking assist. What a load of bollocks. But he did. So for me, look, and again, I get that. You want to give him a 5. But for me, I think when you give a striker one chance, he takes it and he scores that goal. I think for me, he's a 6. I again, a 5. I get it. He says, Nicholas says, Xerxes gets a 5 from me. Huddy gets to play until we play more. I can't. Yeah, and I get it. It's hard to judge a player, right, when they don't play. How many football shirts you've got? Aiden says, I've got at the moment, I think I'm floating around 10. I think I've got 2 more on order. My kids have just got some as well. So if I'm including my kids' ones as well, probably about 15, 16. And I've got some more on order. The next shirt that I've got coming is I love it. I love it. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what the shirt is, but it is one of my favourite keeper shirts of all time. I can't wait to get it. Yeah. So that one there, that shirt there, the red one. So I've got replica shirts, right? So the ones that I've just bought, I've got the black one. That's the sharp one from '97, I think. I've got the one from '92, and I've got the gold and the green and gold one. But that one is original. That is my shirt from when I was 15 years old. That is my shirt. That is my original shirt. You know, none of this. You know, you've got your replica stuff, and then you've got your match day shirt. That is my original shirt. Amazing. And so is that one. That shirt there, the blue one. That shirt is from when I was about. That shirt there, that is my shirt from when I was about 10. So that one's original. So is that one. That one is as well, but that doesn't count, right? So yeah, so those two behind me are my original shirts. And I've got some more shirts elsewhere, but yeah, those two are my original shirts. Let's go through this. Jackie's Old Spice. JB was the one who suggested it for when I go to the bingo, full of musk with a hint of cucumber. You can smell me before you see me. 1994 blue and white one. Yeah, JB in his cucumber water. I've got over 50 shirts, mate. Legend, mate. I'm nowhere near 50 shirts. But yeah, with JB dragged the tripod over the beach creating a trench. Honestly, lads, about 20 years ago, we pinned one of the boys down a footy train, sprayed a full can of brew in him, went in the shower, still reeked of it the next day. Mate. So look, what do I give Amorim today? It's difficult. It's difficult for me. We won the game. Do I think Amorim masterminded the game? No. I'm disappointed that he played the same team. Look, ultimately, the team won. I'm disappointed that he played the same players. I'm disappointed that he keeps on. I want to get the 99. Yeah, that's on my hit list next. So that 99 shirt is on my hit list next. I'm going to get that one next. So the next two that I have, one of them is my favorite goalkeeper shirt of all time. I love that shirt. And then the second one I've ordered is the white and the gold shirt. Is the one that you can turn it inside out. Nick Amorim gets a pat on the back for surviving the game. He does. So for me, Amorim, you score him up for winning the game. Who are your favourite players? Old one. My favourite players of all time. My hero is Hughes. So Mark Hughes is my hero. And then I'd have to go probably Roy Keane, put Giggsy in there as well. Cantona is up there as well. But for me, sort of Mark Hughes was my first player that I liked. I remember supporting United in '88, and he was sort of the first player, and the first player that with that big hair that I sort of really liked. I had the home shirt sharp Vodafone and another with someone's name on the back. I can't remember because years ago I got more, but my drawers and wardrobes are bursting with clothes. After all, I'm a woman. Yes. Nicky T, I'm sure you've got clothes galore, but any old shirts. I mean, I've got loads of shirts, but they're all small. Most of those shirts are from when I was probably ages between 6 and about 14. So yeah, I've got. I'm gonna have to try and find them actually. I've pretty much got every single shirt from about 89, 88, all the way through to about 90, about 2000, Possibly, but they're all elsewhere. Okay, I am going to rate the pivot first. What do I score the pivot today? I scored the pivot today a 4. I thought the pivot again was crap. I can't stand the pivot. I hate the pivot. I don't know what he's doing. I can't stand the pivot. I cannot stand it. Amorim needs to stop this pivot crap. But look, I give it a 4 today. Amorim today. What do I score him today? Amorim for me today gets a 4. I don't think he inspired the team for a win. I think that Amorim basically bottled it. And when new people come to see the chat halfway, this will be wonder what the F is going on. Exactly. JB is in a pivot cycle. Damn sure I am. So you look like Ruud van Nistelrooy. Thanks, mate. I wish I had his money. I wish I had his career. But you know, the flaming pivot. Don't even get me started on that bloody pivot. So Amorim today, I score him a 4, and the reason why I do is because look, he bottled it. He said he was going to change some things. He never did. He played the same team again that bottled it in the last game. He doesn't punish the players for playing like that. He keeps on playing Fernandes as the 8, keeps on playing Casemiro, Ruud van der Broek. I love it. So, Amorim today, I think, as Nikarutsu says, squeaky bum time. He gets a pat on the back for not getting beat. So I think today is a 4. We need to see more. You know, next game, we all know on Thursday he's going to play the same team again. So I just hope Emre says you come all the way from Germany. Welcome, my friend. Jack says Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so will Fox. More. The problem with Amorim is consistently playing the same tactics. His teams will get wise to this, and we are all goosed. I think we're goosed anyway. I think people know how to play Star Wars with cucumbers. There's a bit in The Wedding Crashers where, have you seen the bit where the brother, he goes into the bedroom and says, do you want to play tummy sticks? Always cracks me up. Sword fighting without no sword. Cucumbers. Oh my good lord. Yeah. Let's play some tummy sticks. I mean, yeah. Horrendous. The cucumber is strong with this one. Oh, you guys just crack me up. So look, guys, I am going to go. I've got work tomorrow, 12:15. I mean, look, we've been streaming again for another hour and a half. These streams go fast. Before I go, what is your thoughts on the favourite team in the Turkish league? What is your biggest club in the Turkish league? Look, Emre, I don't really have a dog in that fight, right? But the one team I always come back to are Galatasaray. You know, that is probably the first Turkish team that I heard of. You know, those are the ones for me. Sure, JB is your father. No, I'm gonna have to chop off my arm and jump down a big tube. That sounds wrong, did it? I just said after my missus stuck one. I can't even go there. On that one, to Jackie. Good night, JB and everyone. Look, guys, you are legends. Sir Jackie, mate, I'm giving you the last comment, mate, because that is ridiculous. That's crazy. So look, guys, thank you for being here. Look, we won. How do you think I feel? I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. Look, fantastic. Look, guys, I love these streams. You guys are legends. It's really made me laugh. So, look, guys, I will be back tomorrow at some point. I'm gonna have to do a preview of the West Ham game as well quite soon, because we're playing on Thursday. So, look, I will be back tomorrow. Have a good. Take my strong cucumber. I will be back tomorrow. It's my birthday soon. I better get a card. Yeah, you can have a pair of Scotch trainers. You might want to wash them first. Yeah, no. So look, guys, amazing show as always. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are legends. We won today. We won 3 points. Let's go on to the next. So look, today is forgotten. Let's enjoy it until we wake up tomorrow, and then we go again. So look, guys, thank you for being here. I will be back tomorrow, and legends of the chat. So thank you for being here, guys, and see you on the next one. Take care.